Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Anna Manuel. With a rise in RSV, flu, and COVID cases, the Steuben County Health Department is strongly encouraging you to stay up to date on your vaccinations. The County Health Department issuing a reminder to get your flu shot and COVID-19 booster as soon as possible. The county has seen an uptick in COVID deaths, with 5 residents passing from the virus since November. And since November 1st, over 1,000 flu cases have been reported in the county. For vaccination and booster info, you can call the County Health Department at the number on your screen. And to prevent the spread of illness, the State Health Department is urging schools to press the importance of the following precautions onto their students. There's a look at them on your screen. While these precautions are not mandatory, the threat of a triple-demic looms over the winter school season. School officials say the threat called into Watkins Glen schools back in June was part of a dare from a group of teenagers from Virginia passing through the area. According to the Schuyler County District Attorney, Joseph Fizzari, no charges will be filed on the teens because of their age and place of residence. The investigation concluded that there was no real danger to Watkins Glen schools. The holidays are meant to be a happy time spent with friends and family. But for those coping with stress and anxiety, this time of year can be difficult. Big Fox's Josh Feldberg spoke with a clinical health psychologist about the holiday blues.
Feelings of sadness, loneliness, anxiety, and stress during the holidays have come to be known as the holiday blues. These feelings can be made worse by financial stress, unrealistic expectations, and fatigue that comes with this time of year.
Mental health is something that affects a lot of people, difficulties with mental health. And, if we're talking about around the times of holidays, there are some vulnerabilities that can happen then. It's a busy time of year. It's financially, there are some hardships. It's a time where we sometimes remember people that we've lost, so it can be particularly difficult around the holidays.
If you or someone you know is struggling, Dr. Terry offered some healthy ways to cope with these feelings.
So there's a few things you can do. One, you can set healthy boundaries. So meaning that, if there are certain places or people that you want to see or you don't want to see, maybe setting some clear, healthy boundaries and adhering to those. Engaging in good self-care, so making sure, you're not using a lot of drugs or alcohol, getting good sleep, eating the best that you can, knowing that there's a lot of tempting food around during this time, and also just engaging with people that you find healthy for you socially.
Taking the time to reach out to someone you know can really help someone who is struggling.
Reach out. So if you know of someone or you suspect that there is someone who might be struggling, whether it's a family, a friend, a colleague, ask. If people ask, sometimes they worry that they'll make the person worse or they'll activate even more difficulty. That evidence is very clear that is not the case. So if you ask someone directly about something like suicide, or you ask them how they're doing, you ask them what they're up to, that is only going to be helpful.
Josh Feldberg, Big Fox News, Sayre.
Happy birthday to NASCAR. The racing franchise celebrates 75 years in the business this upcoming year. Our Maggie Hall speaks about the importance of NASCAR in our region.
NASCAR began in 1948 on Daytona Beach.
On the turn which leads to the backstretch. A car is over.
The correlation to me is they started racing in Watkins, not the racetrack, but they started racing in Watkins Glen in 1948, the same year.
Racing at Watkins Glen officially began in 1984. Traffic jams and road closures do spike during the racing season as thousands of fans descend upon Watkins Glen during race weekend.
When we were COVID, I had people sending me letters with tears in them. Because we didn't open up that year. So, fans that have been coming for 50, 60 years were real emotional about us not racing.
Once a year, the Watkins Glen campground becomes the 4th largest campground in the nation. The track generates an estimated $50 million in revenue for the region.
Yeah, I think from a Watkins Glen point of view, we've got a lot of good racing left in us.
The original founding family is still heavily involved in NASCAR to this day.
Yeah, I think kudos to the France family, and particularly Big Bill, who started it. So that's Jim France is a chairman today. So it was his father that started this or grandfather that started this many years ago.
Happy birthday to NASCAR and the start of the racing legacy in Watkins. Maggie Hall, Big Fox News, Watkins Glen.
Governor Kathy Hochul announcing that a dozen new electric vehicle chargers have been set up in the southern tier and in western New York. One of the new charging stations has been set up in Bath at a parking lot on East William Street. The high-speed charging sites can charge most of the battery capacity of any electric vehicle model in as little as 20 minutes. New inflation numbers came out today, just as the Federal Reserve is considering yet another interest rate hike. There are some signs that inflation may be easing, but prices are still much higher than they were a year ago. Doug Luzader reports.
Well, there is hope that inflation has peaked, but the Federal Reserve will be watching these numbers very closely today as they decide whether more needs to be done. Gas prices, on average, fell almost another 2 cents overnight, according to AAA. It's still high, but lower than they were even a year ago. That is helping ease pressure on soaring inflation, just as the Federal Reserve meets today to talk interest rates.
The majority of the economists are expecting that this is the end of the tightening cycle. We most likely are going to get 50 basis points right now in December, another 25 in January, and hopefully this is going to be it.
So instead of the repeated 3/4 point hikes we've seen in recent months, many are expecting something more like a half-point increase. That will still make borrowing for just about everything more expensive, which the Fed hopes will continue to bring inflation down. But there are risks.
There's a risk of recession, but it certainly isn't, in my view, something that is necessary to bring inflation down.
And there is uncertainty here in Washington, too, as a new divided Congress comes to town next month.
I think that's the big question. We'll see what happens. We'll have a divided Washington, which will provide the opportunity. Markets like less change, right?
In other words, it is a recipe for gridlock here on Capitol Hill as we still deal with higher prices and the risk of a recession in the months ahead. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
On the eve of testimony before congressional lawmakers, failed FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried has been arrested in the Bahamas. Lauren Blanchard has more from Washington.
Once a crypto celebrity, now facing a list of criminal charges by U.S. prosecutors. FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried was arrested in the Bahamas on Monday and is expected to eventually be extradited back to the U.S.
It's going to be weeks before he actually is extradited, undoubtedly, but this guy has to be brought to justice.
Tuesday morning, the Securities and Exchange Commission charged Bankman-Fried with fraudulently raising billions and misusing investor funds. The SEC chair writing, "We allege that Sam Bankman-Fried built a house of cards on a foundation of deception while telling investors that it was one of the safest buildings in crypto." Bankman-Fried is also facing charges from the Commodities Futures Trading Commission and the Southern District of New York. Those charges include wire fraud conspiracy, securities fraud conspiracy, and money laundering. New FTX CEO John Ray appearing before the House Financial Services Committee Tuesday morning. Ray took over in November when the company crumbled and Bankman-Fried stepped down.
The scope of our investigation is truly enormous. It involves detailed tracing of money flows and asset transfers from the time of FTX's founding.
Bankman-Fried was supposed to testify his arrest, scrapping those plans.
I don't understand why the Justice Department would not want him on record today and potentially tomorrow in a Senate hearing spilling his guts.
There will be another Capitol Hill hearing on FTX, this time in the Senate, why it crumbled and how it hurt consumers. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Stay with us. Your complete forecast is right after the break.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
The beautiful blue sunshine was around today with even a more gorgeous sunset here caught on the National Weather Service Binghamton camera. Now we will see some passing cloud cover in place as we head into our Wednesday, but still some blue sky to factor in as we will continue to watch for some chilly temperatures as we do drop slightly below average. May even see some of our morning lows approach those teens as seen there in Westfield and Mansfield, as well as Elmira and Corning dropping to about 20 degrees under some of those clear and calm conditions. Now as we have those dry skies in place for our Wednesday, there will be some passing cloud cover as well as some increasing cloud cover late into the day on Wednesday as we will be watching our next low pressure system that will be approaching the region. Now the system is expected to start early on Thursday, and this system is going to bring a little bit of a wintry mess as ahead of this low there is some warmer air in some pockets, which is allowing for that the type of this system may start off at anywhere from a freezing rain to a sleet to then transition over to some snow showers. So that's going to create some slick roadways for our Thursday, and then on top of that, we're going to be talking about transitioning back over to some snow showers to end the system. But then there is going to be a secondary low that this initial low is really attached to that is a little bit more slow moving. That is going to give us several more days of some of this wintry precipitation as there really won't be a big cool down in the temperatures until next week. So we are going to note that the first round of that system is already initiating a winter storm watch across the region just due to the potential that those roadways may be slick and icy as that system does start to approach as we head into Thursday morning's commute and then linger into Thursday evening's commute. But again, as mentioned, Wednesday's our dry day. We still have plenty of sunshine, some passing cloud cover, and then increasing into the evening as we do watch our temperatures approach those lower 30s. Now, rolling through the forecast, you'll note that there is just more of that cloud cover increasing here from the south west, and that's going to continue to grow in at times. And then we'll see that the initial line of that precipitation does stay just outside of our area starting at 7 a.m. on Thursday. So we'll see that precipitation moves in by about the mid-morning is when we're expecting that. So timing is going to be a big question mark that we watch, because when we have the timing change anywhere from a few hours, that can change the precipitation type. So there will be a small chance there could be some icing, giving a few hundredths of an inch of icing on those roadways and then piling snow on top of that, which could create very slick conditions. But then there's also going to be a few inches of snowfall as well with the system, which then creates some slick and slushy roadways for the evening hours. So different concerns that we'll see through different time frames of the day. So note that overall roadways are going to be a bit more difficult to travel on Thursday. What we'll note is that even as we get on the backside of the system, we'll stay under chances for some wintry mixes. There will be some lake effect snowfall in place with some strong winds on the secondary low that will continue to usher in some heavy snowfall closer to the lake regions, and then even the potential of some wintry mix closer to the Finger Lakes region down through Elmira and Corning as we do watch those temperatures continue to fall into next week.
A fleet of Hi robots are hitting the streets and even college campuses around the U.S. making deliveries. And it has some wondering, could this be the end of food delivery driver jobs and start of a new trend? Well, Jackie Ibanez has more.
Mixed in with students in a rush to class at several college campuses across the U.S. are fully autonomous robots cruising around carrying food for hungry people. Food delivery robots are quickly becoming a part of everyday life, with more people seeking contactless deliveries for their groceries and other essential items.
It's really kind of exciting. I mean, who would have thought just, 10, 20 years ago that, food could be delivered by a robot?
One company at the forefront of this industry is Starship Technologies. With nearly 2,000 robots, Starship says it has completed more than 4 million deliveries globally. Besides the convenience for customers, Starship says its robots also have a positive impact on the environment.
Every 10 deliveries that a robot does takes out a car.
While some are embracing the new technology, others remain skeptical.
Sometimes I'm lazy, so I don't want to go and get my own food. If someone could bring it to me, that'd be nice.
I don't think they're the most reliable, and I'm sure you're being taxed on extra for using it as a service.
And robots aren't just hitting the streets. From Virginia to New York, some restaurants are also looking a lot more futuristic by using robots to prepare meals and serve them to customers. According to a report by Allied Market Research, the global delivery robot market is expected to be valued at more than $30 billion by 2030. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
Sears Hometown Stores files for bankruptcy. WeWork is bleeding cash, and customers at the Golden Arches are not McLovin' it. CJ Papa has those stories and more in today's Business Briefs.
The Sears Hometown Stores chain has filed for bankruptcy and plans to liquidate inventory after a dispute with investment firm Transformco. The company was spun off from Sears a decade ago. Office rental company WeWork is said to be dealing with dwindling cash reserves. The Wall Street Journal says tech industry job cuts are dragging down demand for its co-working desks. Also, high interest rates are making it more expensive for WeWork to do business, though WeWork says it has been streamlining its business since March of 2020. McDonald's ranks dead last in customer loyalty. Patrons were asked to consider food quality, value, speed of service, and the atmosphere. Chick-fil-A beat out all other chains, with In-N-Out taking second place. And Mercedes is showing off its futuristic Avatar theme car. The concept was adapted into a version described as barely drivable. It features a joystick instead of a steering wheel, an auto start system, and both the driver and passenger can operate the car. For more stories, log on to foxbusiness.com. I'm CJ Papa.
Still ahead, some charities are forecasting less donations and calling on more Americans to pitch in as we get closer to Christmas. How you can make a difference this holiday. It is the season of giving, and the Salvation Army's Red Kettle campaign is underway for its 132nd year. But surging inflation could impact donations this holiday season. Madison Allworthy is in New York City's Herald Square with more.
It's the most wonderful time of year, but for some families, it is a tremendous time of need. That's why for the past 132 years, the Salvation Army has been giving out help to those across America. But this year, with record high inflation, that help is more needed than ever. I want to bring in National Commander Kenneth Hodder. So let's talk about that increased need. You guys are seeing between 30 to 50% increased need in your communities. In some locations, 400% increase. What is driving that need and why people are coming to the Salvation Army?
The most recent statistics show that almost 2/3 of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And as a result, the people who would normally give to the Salvation Army are actually coming to the Salvation Army for assistance this year. So the need is far greater.
And so talking about donations, you know, some of your buckets are getting 10% less than last year. What has getting donations been like this year?
It's been extraordinarily difficult this year because everybody is under pressure. But that's why every gift matters. So any opportunity that a person has to give to the Salvation Army, we can promise it'll make a difference. It'll help people help them avoid choices. Choices between paying the rent and paying the utilities, providing food or providing Christmas toys for the children. It all makes a difference. So we know that people will help.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Hodder.
It's a pleasure and a very Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you too. You know, even small change can make a big difference. Those iconic kettles behind me, last year alone, $100 million were raised from just spare change of people walking down the street. In New York, I'm Madison Allworth, Fox Business.
If you want to get those holiday gifts shipped in time to arrive before Christmas, you might want to act quickly. UPS, FedEx, and the United States Postal Services have issued recommended deadlines to ship letters and packages. For first mail or retail ground service, the U.S. Postal Service says to ship packages by December 17th. FedEx says its ground shipping deadline is December 14th, and if you plan to send gifts through UPS, it's 3-day select. Deadline is December 20th. An important alert for parents. A brand of baby formula is being recalled due to potential contamination of a deadly bacteria. ByHeart is recalling 5 batches of its baby infant formula after a sample from a third-party manufacturing facility tested positive for bacteria. The affected products include the ByHeart Whole Nutrition Infant Formula and the milk-based powder with iron. The bacteria found could lead to deadly infections such as sepsis or meningitis. The recall comes as the nation deals with a nationwide shortage of baby formula. Well, Well, if you make money and get paid by using certain apps, the IRS may be coming after its share of those earnings. Starting next year, earnings of more than $600 that come from third-party payment apps like Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App will have to be reported to the IRS. That means those earnings, they will be taxed. Even a single payment more than $600 will trigger a 1099-K form for users. The change came as a result of the American Rescue Plan bill. Critics say the changes could hurt small businesses or even the occasional gig economy worker. Stay with us. We'll have more after the break.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year! Aloha! Merry Christmas!
And we want to leave you with a smile. Santa Claus, he's coming to town, but jolly old St. Nick was out of office this weekend, taking a break from the chilly North Pole to visit Hawaii. He traded in his sleigh for an outrigger canoe and paddled out into Waikiki. The holly jolly man rocking flip-flops, a relaxing Hawaiian shirt, and his trademark hat while catching waves and greeting beachgoers, officially kicking off the holiday season in Hawaii. I'm Harriet Wallace. Thanks for watching.